What's up, the squad? Back with another video. I see in the title's going down. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button for me, please. Y'all see it in the title. So before we get in this video, y'all see it. I don't know if y'all seen my video a couple days ago, but I'm telling y'all, it's amazing. You know, it's amazing. What is today? 14th. So within the 15th, troops will be paid. So it's amazing, you know, and for those families, this is Donald Trump's post. Said Chuck Schumer recently said, "Every day gets better." During their radical left shutdown, I disagree. If nothing is done because of leader Chuck Schumer and the Democrats, our brave troops will miss the paychecks they're rightfully due on, October 15th. That is why I'm using my authority as Commander-in-Chief to direct our Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, to use all available funds to get our troops paid on October 15th, which is tomorrow, which is great. We have identified funds to do this, and Secretary Hegseth will use them to pay our troops. I will not allow Democrats to hold our military and the entire security of our nation hostage. With their dangerous government shutdown, the radical left Democrats should open the government, and then we can work together to address healthcare and many other things that they want to destroy. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. Let me tell y'all something. One thing about it, it definitely does suck, you know, especially with Chuck Schumer being mad that President Trump is doing this. If y'all don't know, he is mad about it. And other Democrats, which is very sad. I mean, not only are troops not, you know, getting paid, but they're not eating. Their families not eating, which is women and children. Maybe even, elders. You know, so it's definitely important. One thing that I absolutely hate is that you have this. I mean, there's no surprise when it comes to Democrats. I mean, you literally have them not wanting to get our troops paid. You literally have vets, you know, that are on, literally people that have served, that are living on the street and going through everything just to get, you know, a living space, you know, food, transportation, you know, and it definitely sucks, you know, and I pray for them. You know, they rather put illegal aliens, you know, first, and it's definitely sad, it's messed up, and I don't like it. You know, so I'm glad that, you know, President Trump, Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth are doing what they can, you know, to make it happen, you know, tomorrow with getting them paid, because it definitely is important. I don't know if y'all didn't see the food banks. You know, the food banks have been, you know, I think they said it was, they usually have it and they usually run out, you know, at around 1 p.m., but they're running out at like 10 a.m. now. And, you know, it definitely sucks. You know, they're running out of food faster. And, you know, there's not only troops not getting fed, but, you know, their spouses, which, you know, women and children, you know, children, you know, and like I said, elders, you know, that's not getting paid, that's not getting fed, you know, and having to go to these food banks, you know, and they're running out of food. I've showed it twice, but y'all can see that, you know, it's everywhere, and it's definitely sad. But big thanks, you know, to President Trump, you know, that you know, is making sure they're paid, you know, rather woman, you know, man that's in the military, you know, he's making it happen, you know, and I definitely love it. You know, I literally have family members that's in the military, friends that's in the military, family that has served in the military, and they should definitely be priority. Like I've said before. Check it out, JD Vance.
Well, the plan is that when you're in a shutdown, and we're in the shutdown, of course, because Schumer and the Democrats shut down the government because they were trying to force us to give health care benefits to illegal aliens. And now that we're in this shutdown, we're trying to figure out how to ensure that as many Americans receive essential services as possible. We're doing a lot to ensure that low-income women and children get their food benefits. We're trying to make sure that flood insurance and other insurance programs don't disappear during the height of hurricane season. But we're also, Maria, doing some pretty non-conventional things, as President Trump often does, to ensure that our troops are able to get paid. We are confident we've identified the legal pathways in order to do this, but it's really important for the President of the United States. Even though Schumer shut down the government, he doesn't want our troops to suffer because of it. Of course, he doesn't want our national security to suffer because of it either. Well,
That's amazing. I'm not even gonna lie. Definitely amazing. A lot of people are happy about this, and you should be happy. Like I said, military should be a priority. One thing about it, you know, that I've seen in many comments, you know, is that they don't get paid enough. And I totally agree. You know, they definitely don't get paid enough, you know, and for the Democrats, you know, Chuck Schumer, to not want them paid when they already not getting paid enough is definitely sad. It just goes to show you on how they are. And they're not doing anything but hurting themselves. If you actually really look at it, they actually hurt themselves. You know, you're not people don't realize this is something, that they're doing, and it's like this this effect, that is going, through everybody. You're not paying the military, and they're obviously seeing that, with this, this shutdown. They're not eating, they're not getting paid. Women, kids, I always say that, women and kids, definitely, you got your elders, and people are realizing that, what's going through them. You have this, you have that. There's people realizing, okay, troops looking at the simple fact, oh, Democrat, they don't care about us. Like, are they serious? Then you got, spouses just looking like, dang, well, I see. And then you have, this individual and this individual, and they're seeing, how the Democrats are and what Trump is doing, President Trump is doing to, make it better, doing things that they can, to get them paid and to do this. And I'm telling y'all, it's pulling people away from the Democratic Party. So they're hurting themselves. I'm not even gonna lie. It says here, breaking. Mike Johnson dares Democrats to sue President Trump after he found a creative way to pay troops during Schumer's shutdown. I told y'all they're outraged about this, and it's absolutely insane. Check it out.
Look, my understanding of this is they have every right to move the funds around, duly appropriated dollars from Congress to the Department of Defense. There were some R&D accounts that had not been spent, and that's my understanding is that's the money that's being used to pay the troops right now. If the Democrats want to go to court and challenge troops being paid, bring it, okay? I'm grateful for a commander-in-chief who understands the priorities of the country, the necessity of national defense, and the urgency that we all feel and have voted for 8 times. Republicans have voted in Congress 8 times now between House and Senate to fund the troops and pay federal workers in all these essential jobs and agencies, because we understand the necessity of that. Meanwhile, the Democrats voted 8 times to block their paychecks. I'm grateful we have a president who is willing to step up and do the right thing. Thank y'all so much.
Exactly. I'm definitely grateful. And we see it every day. That's what people fail to realize. We see it. It's so many people that are putting this hatred towards President Trump so much. Bro, ever since he I always say ever since he stepped foot in the White House, ever since even before he stepped foot in the White House, months before, he was making stuff happen. Come on now, make it make sense. More from Mike Johnson.
Democrats today have no leader, no vision, no direction. The party's at their lowest point in decades in terms of public opinion polls. And so they threw this Hail Mary pass. Chuck Schumer knows this. He reads the polls religiously. He knows his party is furious with him for doing the right thing back in March when he helped to pass a clean CR and avert a government shutdown. It was the right thing to do. He said so himself emphatically on the Senate floor.
And that's the thing that they all know. They all know what's going on. They all look at everything. They all see. These are things they do to try to feel like they're hurting President Trump and the Trump administration. And it's not working. They thought this was going to be, a plan. Oh, okay, well, let's make it like this. Troops not going to get paid. This, they're not going to get paid. They're not going to eat, and they're trying to do this, do that. But they're not even knowing that President Trump, I'm telling y'all, he always got that plan. Always got that plan. Make it happen. It just goes to show y'all. It literally goes to show y'all on how sad and how sickening these individuals can be. I mean, you literally have Chuck Schumer right here. Once again, shamefully calls for violence. It says people need to forcefully rise up, against President Trump. This is definitely sad. I'm telling y'all. These are things, when it comes down to all these shootings, to all these riots, to all this stuff going on, from individuals like this, when they see stuff like this, and it's definitely sad. Check it out.
It is just such a hallmark of tyrannical, autocratic dictatorship societies that they use the prosecutorial department as a political weapon. It is a disgrace, and every American, I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, moderate, people should be forcefully rising up against this. It is just such a hallmark of tyrannical, a political weapon.
Look at this.
It is a disgrace, and every American, I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, moderate, people should be forcefully rising up against
this right here. This right here is exactly why there's things that's going on and happening all around. And I can't use this as a full excuse because a lot of these people are adults, you know, a lot of these. But like I've said many, many times, I've talked to so many people about this situation. When you already have somebody, I forgot who I was talking to. It was a few individuals that I was talking to. And I was telling them, like, if you actually realize and just see, there's a lot of people that go, especially now that's, you know, going through a lot of mental health things, especially what's going on around the world. And there's a lot of things that's going on. So when they're looking at different things, they may not watch the news. You know, they may not, you know, turn on the TV and see it on there. They might not, but a lot of times they see these different clips on TikTok. They see it on X. They see it on Instagram. They see it on Facebook. They're seeing these different clips and they're seeing him saying, you know, things like this. You already have somebody that's going through mental health issues. You know, that's going through, this is no excuse, but this is just that extra boost. This is literally adding that fuel to the fire. And you literally have more and more people that are acting in violence and doing this because you have, you know, individuals like Chuck Schumer, you know, that's inciting violence, you know, and others, you know, that's inciting violence. I can name a lot. You already know. Don't get me started. But you're having all these individuals that's inciting violence, and these individuals that's going through things already, having this hatred towards Trump administration, conservatives, this, that, and the other, and they act out and they do something outrageous. And then when that happens, who do y'all think they're going to blame? They blame President Trump. When, again, these are individuals that's inciting violence. And it's definitely sad, y'all. It's messed up. Says here, Speaker Mike Johnson blasts Democrats' insane list of demands to end the government shutdown. I'm telling y'all, it's when I say insane, bro, I feel like y'all don't realize how insane this stuff is. Check out this list.
And they would send $500 million to liberal news outlets by refunding the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. It would also restore up to $5 billion of American taxpayer funds for wasteful spending for international projects. Here's a couple of examples. This is in their legislation, their counterproposal on the CR to keep the lights open. This is what they want to do. They want to spend $24.6 million of your hard-earned dollars as a taxpayer for climate resilience in Honduras. They want to spend $13.4 million for civic engagement in Zimbabwe. They want to send $3.9 million for LGBTQI plus democracy grants in the Western Balkans. They want to spend $2.9 million of your dollars for desert locust risk reduction in the Horn of Africa. And $2 million for, quote, organizing for feminist democratic principles in Africa. We are not doing that.
We're not doing that. I'm not even gonna lie. I was about to say that's absolutely wild. One thing about it, y'all, is that all jokes aside, this whole list in Honduras, Zimbabwe, and Africa, they ain't gonna see that money. Guarantee they ain't gonna see that money. Y'all know where that money going. I mean, it's they're not gonna see that money. I mean, me personally, I'm already knowing, and y'all should know too. But just that list of demands on what they did, they shouldn't be demanding nothing. This is
already engaged in responsible, open, bipartisan processes to find answers to these problems. And what Chuck Schumer means when he says that he wants us to negotiate is that he is demanding, and he said it publicly. I can't believe he says the quiet parts out loud sometimes, but he wants a backroom deal. He wants a backroom deal that the American people will never see. He literally has said, we need the top 4 leaders to go into a room and work this out. Why does Chuck Schumer say that? Because that's how he's operated for decades. He's been in Congress since 1980. I was 9 years old in the 3rd grade when Chuck Schumer got here, okay? He is the broken status quo. We are trying to break the status quo so government works better for the people. And Chuck Schumer is resistant to that because he can't even imagine the way the founders intended for this to work. He doesn't want this open, everybody involved, all members, bottom-up process. He wants 4 people to go in a back room and just make this already.
That's crazy. I'm not even gonna lie. Says he's been in Congress since 1980. I was 9 years old in the 3rd grade. That's wild. Check it out from Byron Dinos, y'all.
No, they can't. And it's sad to see. In part, that's why the government is shut down. It's not because of any major policy fights, Stu. It's about Trump derangement syndrome. Mm-hmm. They're trying to prove to their base that they can stand up to Trump. So because of that, now federal workers are furloughed. Some are going to get fired, and there's going to be other things that are going to happen. And you have troops, TSA agents, etc., who are not getting paid, all because Chuck Schumer, Senate Democrats, and House Democrats, mind you, want to prove that they're tough to stand up to Donald Trump. Go ask Hamas how that worked.
I'm telling you, people are not realizing how strong the Trump administration is and how strong, when you have these conservatives that's really out here. And I'm telling y'all, getting information, putting out the facts, and it ain't even, the thing is that you don't even have to have nobody that's constantly, okay, yeah, I'm about to make this individual become, a Trump supporter or somebody that's, you ain't got to do that. The words that you say, the facts and the receipts that you put out, it all speaks for itself. And y'all clearly see how things are. I'm telling y'all clearly see how things are. I want to show y'all this video though. It just goes to show you on how full of shit they are. Guy here, CNN just called out Hakeem Jeffries to his face on government shutdown in a brutal moment. Let me tell y'all something. This right here goes to show y'all on how much they're full of it. Check it out right here.
Meetings, no discussions. Donald Trump has held them back from even having a meaningful engagement to try to find
You're
common
right down
ground.
the hall from Mike Johnson's office. I know exactly where you are. You could probably take a few steps and go knock on the door and talk to him. Have you tried that?
Speaker Johnson hasn't been given permission to have a conversation with me or Leader Schumer, and he said as much earlier today.
So you don't think he would talk to you at all?
We can have a conversation, but the problem is that until they get the green light to actually have a meaningful discussion to try to find common ground and a bipartisan path forward and a willingness to address the damage that Republicans have done to the health, the safety, and the economic well-being of the American people, then of course any informal discussion is going to be not fruitful.
And that just goes to show y'all, in other words, that he is full of shit. I mean, that right there just goes to show y'all that right there. It literally goes to show y'all right there. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. That right there. Few steps. Walk down there and have a conversation. They have every excuse in a book. Every excuse in the book. And with all the excuses, they use their excuses and then they go to the blame game. That's all they do. Let me know y'all comments, thoughts down below. How y'all feel, about this whole situation, about this video. Definitely hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Definitely appreciate y'all. Stay tuned for the next video. Catch y'all next one.